Hi students, welcome back to BVSR classroom. We will continue discussing alkyl halides. As you know, this is the third part. In the first part, we discussed about preparation and properties. And in the second part, we discussed about substitution nucleophilic reaction mechanisms of SN1, SN2, and SNI. And in this class, we will continue the same topic and study stereochemical aspects of SN1 and SN2 reactions, and then effect of solvent on nucleophilic substitution reaction, and also we will cover elimination versus substitution. We will have a detailed discussion about all these things. So those people who are interested in learning organic chemistry, or in other words, who want to master this organic chemistry, will really enjoy my class because little bit difficult to grasp some points. These are mechanisms. So those who are interested in learning organic chemistry in depth can continue watching this video. I am B. Venkatrao from Government College Autonomous Rajahmundry. I am with you to meet all your chemistry needs. So first of all, stereochemical aspects of SN1 and SN2 reactions. We already know that in case of optically active alkyl halides, the product formed as a result of SN2 mechanism has inverted configuration. Okay, that inverted configuration is called as Walden inversion. Why it will have inverted configuration means the approaching nucleophile will do that from the backside of the substrate. That is why the configuration of the product will be inverted configuration, as I told you, which is called as Walden inversion. I explained that thing here also. You observe this molecule. Br is in the front side, OH is approaching. It has to approach from the back side only. Then inversion of configuration is there. This is an example of SN2 mechanism. So in SN2 mechanism, there is inversion of configuration, and that inversion is, as you know very well, Walden inversion. So thus in SN2 reactions of optically active halides, they are accompanied by inversion of configuration. Okay, in case of SN1 reactions, what happens with SN1 reactions? SN1 reactions are completed in two stages. In the first stage, you know that carbonium ion or carbocation is formed as the intermediate. Okay, now it will have sp2 hybridized carbon, which is planar, that is achiral. Moreover, in the next step, the nucleophile may be accomplished from either side, resulting in a mixture of products. One having the same configuration, and the second one will have opposite configuration. That means 50% will be a retention of configuration and 50% will be inversion of configuration. Okay, that's why it results in the formation of racemic mixture. At that point I will explain. This may be illustrated by hydrolysis of optically active 2-bromobutane. Take this example, 2-bromobutane, which results in formation of plus butane 2-ol. Let us see how it is happening. This is 2-bromobutane molecule. In the first step, it is slow step and also RDS, rate determining step, result in the formation of carbonium ion by the elimination of Br minus ion. Now this is both this one and this one is same. Now OH minus can approach from this direction or from this direction. If it approaches from this direction, this will be the product formed plus butane 2-ol. So opposite side, Br is right side, here OH is on the left side. Imagine that OH is approaching from this side. I am showing with cursor. Then this will be the product formed. That is retention of configuration. These two configurations are same. This is minus butane 2-ol. Now 50% possibility is this product and 50% possibility is this product. That means in the final product, it will be a mixture of 50-50. Okay, that type of mixture is called as racemic mixture, and the process is called as racemization. Okay, so in SN1 we come across racemization, and in SN2 inversion of configuration will be there, that is called as Walden inversion. I hope you understood this concept. After completing that, we will approach SN2, SN1, and how those reactions are influenced by solvents. Before going into that solvent effect on SN1 and SN2, let us understand what are the different types of solvents that are frequently used in organic chemistry. Now, solvent affects nucleophilic substitution reaction. Proper solvent is required to facilitate a certain mechanism. It is a compulsory thing. Basically, the solvents which are employed in organic chemical mechanism can be divided into three major categories based on the structures and polarities, etc., etc. What are they? Non-polar solvents. You see this one? Non-polar solvents. Under this non-polar solvents, examples are hexane, benzene, toluene, etc. In addition to this non-polar, you will have polar solvents. Polar solvent means one pole will have positive charge and the second one may have negative charge, like that. Okay. Now, these polar solvents are again two types. Polar protic solvents, those having OH, NH groups, etc. For example, under polar protic solvents, we can consider H2O. Water is a very good solvent, and also it is polar protic solvent. Alcohol is represented as ROH. Carboxylic acid, RCOOH. Amine, RNH2, like that. Polar aprotic solvents. Polar aprotic solvents. Examples: acetone, DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide, DMF, THF, CH2Cl2, etc. You will also observe the structures in due course of time. Non-polar solvents are non-polar compounds. They doesn't have polarity due to lack of difference in electronegativity between the bonding atoms. They may be hexane, benzene, toluene. I already told you. Polar protic solvents are the compounds containing OH or NH group that is able to form hydrogen bonds. This point is important. Polar protic solvents have the ability to form hydrogen bonds. Polar protic solvents are highly polar because of OH or NH group. Now, polar aprotic, protic in the sense proton, that is hydrogen proton. Polar aprotic solvents are a group of solvents with medium range of polarity. They are in between non-polar and completely polar. So polar aprotic solvents, they are polar because of polar bonds like C double bond O will be there. If there is C double bond O, one best example is acetone. You know that. S double bond O. But the polarity is not as high as OH or NH group. Typical examples of polar aprotic solvents include acetone, just now I explained, DMSO, DMF, THF, CH2, Cl2, etc. You observe this one. Acetone, CH3, C double bond O, CH3. DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide, CH3, S double bond O, CH3. In place of carbon, sulfur is there. Then it becomes DMSO. DMF, NN dimethyl formamide. NN dimethyl formamide. Observe this one. H, C double bond O, N, CH3 twice. Tetrahydrofuran. You know the formula of furan. This is tetrahydrofuran. Dichloromethane. CH2, Cl2, dichloromethane. These are some common polar aprotic solvents. The general guideline for solvents regarding nucleophilic substitution reactions, how they react, how they influence various organic reactions, etc. SN1 reactions are favored by polar protic solvents. Note down that point. So, for bringing about SN1 reaction, which type of solvents are more favorable? Polar protic solvents are more favorable. Polar protic solvents example, best example, water, alcohols, etc. And usual are solvolysis reaction. Solvolysis, just like hydrolysis. If water is involved, it is called as hydrolysis. Instead of water, if some other compound like alcohol is involved, then it is called as solvolysis type of reactions. Okay. Then SN2 reactions are favored by polar aprotic solvents. Example of polar aprotic solvents: acetone, DMSO, DMF. Of course, DMF is a very convenient solvent for carrying out reactions involving SN2 mechanism. Polar protic solvents favor SN1. I already just now told this point. So polar protic solvents favor SN1 reaction. Why it is like that? The polar solvent such as water, methyl alcohol is able to form hydrogen bond with the leaving group. You remember this point, please. I'll show you this. And this is the alkyl halide. So in SN1 reaction, what is the condition? This leaving group should be removed from the reaction or reaction process. Then only it will be convenient for the formation of carbocation or carbonium ion. That is an important point. So when this can be conveniently removed is, so when inside this, if there is water for example, this water has the ability to associate with this leaving group. Then what happens when water molecules are associating like this? This X minus can be very conveniently removed like this. Solvated leaving group, solvation. Finally, solvolysis will take place. That is a different thing. So carbocation is very easily formed. That is why SN1 reactions requires which type of solvents? Polar protic solvents are required. Okay, you study this one. Step 1 in S11 reaction, departure of the leaving group. This leaving group has to departure. How it can be departure? It has to be removed. It has to be abstracted. So which species is doing that role or playing that role? Polar protic solvent like water. It is doing transition state. Departure of the leaving group is facilitated by hydrogen bonding with solvent. Here hydrogen bonding is formed. Solvation. This is called as solvation. Finally, carbocation is formed. Solvated leaving group. This is the X minus. X minus is surrounded by several water molecules like this. Okay. So what is the use of this polar protic solvent? Means it removes easily the leaving group. That's why this polar protic solvent is more favorable for making use of SN1 mechanisms. So polar protic solvent H2 as an example facilitates the formation of carbocation intermediate in SN1 reaction. Now polar aprotic solvents favor SN2 reactions. Polar aprotic solvents like DMF, DMSO, acetone, etc., they favor which type of reactions? SN2 reactions. Why? Strong nucleophiles are required in SN2 reactions. That is a well-known fact. The nucleophiles must be very strong. Then only there will be possibility of SN2 reactions, because it has to provide some energy which is sufficient to break the bond between carbon and halogen. So in order to break the bond between carbon and halogen, from where we are getting the energy? That energy must be provided by the incoming nucleophile. So the incoming nucleophile must be very strong. Okay. So, and strong nucleophiles are usually negatively charged, such as OH minus is a strong ligand also, strong nucleophile. That's it. Similarly, CH3O minus methoxide ion, CN minus cyanide ion, a strong ligand also, strong nucleophile. Okay, these anions must stay with cations in salt format like NaOH, CH3O, Na, NaCN, KCN, etc., etc. Since salts are insoluble in polar solvent, you observe this point. This point is very important. Salts are insoluble in non-polar solvents. Therefore, non-polar solvents are not useful for these type of reactions. So we need polar solvents only that can dissolve the salts. So for reaction to start, the salts must be dissolved in solvent. When the salts are insoluble in non-polar solvent, there won't be any reaction at all. So that we have to take care of. So here one important point is, for bringing about SN2 reactions, which type of solvents are not at all usable? Non-polar solvents are not at all useful. Okay, and then we'll go to the next point. The issue of polar protic solvent is that the nucleophile anions will be surrounded by a layer of solvent molecules with hydrogen bonds, and this is called a solvation effect. Solvation. Again, solvation in the sense, what is the meaning? The water molecule or solvent molecules are surrounding the nucleophile. When they are surrounding the nucleophile, then what happens is the movement of nucleophile towards the carbon becomes difficult. Okay, it becomes slow. So here the polar protic solvents are not at all convenient to bring about SN2 type of reaction. Okay, that's why here non-polar solvents are not useful. Polar protic solvents are also not useful. Why means here this is the point you have to catch. The solvation effect stabilize or encumber the nucleophiles and hinder their reactivities in SN2 reaction. Therefore, polar protic solvents are not suitable for SN2 reactions. Then which type of solvents are more convenient? We will see that. Before going into that detail, polar solvent does not work for SN2. Why? Nucleophile is solvated and encumbered by protic solvent. This is the nucleophile at the center. These are water molecules. They have brought about solvation effect. So when there is solvation effect, the nucleophile cannot go and attack the carbon atom, which is supposed to bring about this reaction, nucleophilic substitution. So that is the problem. Now, as a result, the polar aprotic solvents such as acetone, DMSO, etc. are the best choice of SN2 reactions. Yes, you take care of this point. So, polar aprotic solvents such as acetone, DMSO, etc. are the best choice of SN2 reactions. They are polar enough to dissolve the salt and also not interact as strongly with anions to hinder their reactivities. That means they are in between non-polar and polar. They are the best choice. Okay, they are polar enough to dissolve the salt formed nucleophiles and also not interact as strongly with anions to hinder their reactivities. That's why it is very, very conducive form. The nucleophile anions can move freely in polar aprotic solvent and act as a nucleophile. So that is a very good situation. Among this, which one is best means you observe this one. Relative rate of reaction is very high. DMF can be suitably employed for SN2 reactions. Now, after completing the solvent effect on substitution nucleophilic reactions, we will consider when an elimination reaction is favored and when substitution reaction is favored. What are the favorable conditions, etc., etc. This will be also very, very interesting. Before going into the details, I already explained in part 1 what is the meaning of substitution reaction, what is the meaning of elimination reaction. I also gave some examples. If you feel any difficulty, you go back and verify those things. What is a substitution reaction? Substitution is a chemical reaction in which one functional group is replaced by another. Say, for example, Rx plus OH minus gives rise to ROH plus X minus. That is a substitution reaction. Then what is an elimination reaction? The removal of two groups of atoms to form a pi bond is called an elimination reaction. Removal of two groups, preferably from adjacent carbon atoms, to form a pi bond. Two sigma bonds gone, one pi bond will be formed. Generally, the groups that are eliminated are a proton, that is H plus, and the leaving group, L minus. So it will be eliminated as HL. Now we'll go into the details between the differences between substitution and elimination reaction. In substitution reaction, no extra bond is formed. One atom will be replaced by another. Observe this one. This is methane reacted with Cl2 in presence of sunlight. Then one hydrogen goes, one Cl enters, resulting in the formation of methyl chloride. Of course, HCl will also be formed. This is the best example for substitution reaction. But there is a formation of new pi bond in elimination reaction. If you are taking into consideration an elimination reaction, then what is the possibility is two sigma bonds gone. This is one sigma bond between carbon and chlorine. This is another sigma bond between carbon and hydrogen. HCl is eliminated. Now, these two sigma bonds get converted into a pi bond. Okay, this is a very, very good example for elimination reaction. So these are the two differences. Now, which type of reaction is feasible, with which type of conditions or which set of conditions? So you observe this one. Primary carbon chains prefer substitution reactions. Primary carbon chains, like primary alkyl halide, they prefer substitution reaction. Tertiary carbon chains readily undergo elimination reaction. That is first point. So primary alkyl halides readily involve in substitution, whereas tertiary carbon chains, they have the ability to undergo elimination reaction. If it is secondary, depending upon the condition, both primary as well as, substitution as well as elimination reactions may be possible. The occurrence of elimination and substitution reactions are temperature dependent. Please underline this point. It depends on temperature. Generally, low temperature conditions favor substitution reaction. If the temperature is low, that means the reaction is carried out at lower temperature or ambient temperature, which is also called room temperature. Then which type of reaction is more favorable? Substitution reactions are more favorable. Okay, if the temperature is high, elimination reaction is more favorable. That I will explain with a graph. Okay, all else being equal, elimination increases with heat. So blue line, elimination. So temperature increases, x-axis. As temperature increases, you observe this one. Elimination rate also increases. Substitution, temperature increases, rate of substitution decreases. So lower temperature, substitution favored. Higher temperature, elimination reaction favored. They are also dependent on the concentration of the base. Concentration of the base plays very, very important role. In the first class, that is preparation and properties of alkyl halides, I very clearly explained one reaction, that is ethyl chloride reacting with aqueous KOH, result in the formation of which product? Ethyl alcohol will be formed. That is a substitution reaction. If the same reaction under drastic condition is carried out with alcoholic KOH, then what happens? Ethylene will be the product obtained. You might be remembering that. So the base concentration is high, then elimination reaction is more favorable when compared to base concentration low, which what is the favorable condition? Then it gives rise to a substitution reaction. This is the explanation regarding that. You see this one, aqueous NaOH. What is the product obtained? A substitution product will be obtained. Okay. If it is a concentrated condition, then what is the product obtained? Alcoholic KOH. That means KOH concentration is more. Concentration of base is more. Then which type of reaction is favored? Elimination reaction is favored. So these are some conditions which are favorable to elimination and other set of reaction conditions favorable to substitution reactions. So in this way, we have to attempt alkyl halide study. Okay. One thing is sure, organic chemistry is easy, organic chemistry is difficult. It is in your hands. You can make it more difficult or you can convert it into very easy topic. So you have to follow some systematic procedure for studying organic chemistry. Then it will be very, very easy and very, very satisfying also. I hope you enjoyed the entire 3 episodes of alkyl halides. Please, once again, I am saying, please prepare notes by yourself. Try to master over this topic. Okay, I hope you will understand this point. All the best. Thank you very much for watching.